Create in Spain. As you can see, I have Canvas Workspace open and I have purchased the print to cut registration mark activation card. This, when you put it into your account and put the code in for your premium function, shows up registration mark on the artboard page. The page size that I'm using is A4 because that's what we use in Spain, but there are other options. If you have a printer which takes A3, for example, or other sizes, then you can change the artboard size. If you want to use the print and cut on Canvas Workspace, you may need to purchase other activating cards as well, such as advanced tracing capability. Because this doesn't give you any other capability, it's simply the registration marks. You cannot print directly from Canvas Workspace. You have to save your file as a PDF and then you print that out from whatever it is that you use to print PDFs. So as far as a print and cut function goes, it is pretty basic. It doesn't give you proper tracing capabilities in the way that Shortcuts Lot has, and you cannot print directly from the application. That being said, some people don't want to do anything other than the simplest of tasks, and it will be fine. My interest is being able to do this by using Shortcuts a lot to design my files and just to use Canvas Workspace to actually send the design to my cutting machine. Now, in order to do this on Shortcuts a lot, you need to get those registration marks into the program. In order to do that, if you go to File and you go to Export the PDF, you want to choose all visible layers because otherwise you won't get the registration marks. And you save that as a PDF to open up in Shortcuts a lot. I'm now going to go to Shortcuts a lot itself, and you can see that I have imported the PDF. There is something else that I have done, which I will explain in a moment. So these are the registration marks. If I click on preview at the moment, you can see that they are showing up as printable, and that is because I changed them to be printable. Originally they come up as cut lines, so do make sure to change it to a print and cut print, otherwise it's not going to be much use. The other thing I had to do, because I tried it without doing this and it did not work, on my page size, my mat size, I have changed the actual mat size to a custom one to the print and cut. This seems very odd for me to have to do, but I found that if I did a print from Shortcuts a lot and then expected it to read the registration marks, it wasn't working well. It would tell me that it was reading the registration marks, yes. What it wouldn't do is actually place my cut lines where they were supposed to be. They were off. They were off in just the same way that they would be off if I didn't have the print and cut registration marks. So this was definitely not good. But what I discovered is that these marks, if I show you the dimensions, are 20.4 and 29.1. So that's the entire page size with these marks. So what I did was I actually changed the workspace, my actual mat size, to that sizing. So I've got a special one that says print to cut brother 20.4 by 29.1, and I saved it. You can save it in Shortcuts a lot and then it will just be ready whenever you need it. Now I found that this actually works. Do not be alarmed if your registration marks are not printed centrally to your page, however, because mine aren't. You'll see them in a minute or two when I show you actual video footage. We now have our registration marks on a page which is not actually A4. However, my print settings are still set to A4. There's no need to alter that. So I've got this cute little mouse who's been overdosing on cheese by the looks of it, and I got him from Pixabay and I just did a standard outline trace. So I'm going to put him in here just to demonstrate something for you. What I need to do is to get this image into the Canva software so that I can actually cut him out. But I don't need these registration marks. So all I need to actually transfer is this, and you want to export it as an FCM. Now, if you want to, you could export it as an SVG, and what will happen is that the cut line will remain where it is, but the actual image will be up here somewhere. And you will have to remove it in order to export the FCM to the cutter, because it will tell you there's something out of the lines that it accepts. So you will either have to click on hide, in which case you might forget that it's there anyway, or else just ignore it and just export it as an FCM, and the cut line only will show up because FCM doesn't give you images. Now, if you happen to make a mistake and you export the entire lot as a file, what will happen if those are cut lines, they will show up. If they're print lines, they won't show. It won't make any great difference. They won't show at all. But if you happen to export them as cut lines, they'll show up. And what you can get, let's just export this to show you. Okay. I will change this to print and cut. Okay, now file, export, and I'm going to go mouse 1 and export it as an FCM and save it. There we go. I click off here. So I'm now back in Canva's workspace, and I can go to file and import from my computer, FCM mouse. Here we go. So my mouse is in whatever position it was supposed to be in. That's not a problem. But then if I go to file and I go to export, transfer, there's objects outside the line. Well, I don't see objects outside the line. However, these registration marks are, for whatever reason, slightly outside the line. So you need to delete them, because you will not be able to transfer it otherwise. So you want to make sure you don't have those. And the easiest way of doing it is just to export the image cut line that you wanted in the first place, and to not bother with the registration marks. That's the easiest way around it. Okay, so you now then send that wirelessly to your cutter. So export, transfer it, and it will be ready to go. And then all you have to do is put your paper onto the mat and cut it out. Now, you do have to make sure that your paper is either horizontally lined up, vertically lined up, whichever way you like to put it. Square onto the mat is the best way. And these lines here have to be at the top. That shows you which way up it is. So there's no point in putting it the other way round, because the machine won't recognize that you've done that. So, it will only cut it one way. And if you're using an A4 piece of paper, there's a limit to the number of places you can actually place it on your mat in any case. You've only got a few inches spare. But you put it onto your mat and you send it to cut. And it will cut out, hopefully, exactly where it should do. What I do suggest is that you try doing it without messing around with the sizing in Shortcut Slot, and see if it works for you with your printer settings. If it doesn't, and the easiest way I think of probably finding out if it does or not, is to check what size this comes in as an import. Mine was coming in at 20.4, for example. If yours is coming in at 21, then the chances are, if you do a borderless print, it will work, I would guess, on an A4 page. Mine wasn't. And there was no point whatsoever in actually just centering it to an A4 page. That did not work. Even not changing the size, but just centering it to the center of the page. That didn't work. I thought it should do. I mean, logically it should, but it didn't. And the only thing that worked was changing the actual mat size in the first place. It's an easy fix, and now I know it needs to be that size. I just open up this page, do whatever I want to do on it, and then send it to my printer and cut it out. So I have the problem solved. But you may or may not find that you need to take those steps. So now I'm going to come out of QuickTime and I'm going to go back to my camera as normal. Here we have the mouse that I was doing. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see him close up, and I've just kept it on the mat. I haven't bothered to take it off, but perfect print and cut. So you don't have to use Canvas Workspace in order to get it to work. I mean, that is so precisely cut. The tail is very fine, and even those little movement marks, it's an absolutely perfect cut. So I'm more than happy with that. So now I can actually do my print and cut, if need be, as normal from shortcut slot, and just transfer the FCM to my machine to cut it out, which is what I wanted to do. But as you've heard, it wasn't the straightforward option that I thought it was going to be to start off with. You might need to play around a bit. Hopefully the settings that I've got either work for you, or you find that it works straight away from the A4 setting. I don't understand why it didn't, because they know you're using A4 paper and the marks should be lined up for that. And it's just really, really strange. The other thing I found that was really strange is the registration marks are not centered on here. They are centered in Shortcut Slot, but when I printed the PDF, which is basically what Shortcut Slot prints anyway, it prints as a PDF on my system, they are not actually lined up in the center. So that's really kind of strange. I don't know what the reason for that is, but heck, it works. So, you know, I'm happy that it works. I was just not to question why, as they say. So there we go. That is the first one of my videos on this. I might do some more videos because I suspect I'll find other things that you can do with it that you may not have thought about. But this is the first one, so I hope you found it useful. Was it worth it? That remains to be seen. At least I know now I can just do a print and a cut, and it's going to be really quick and easy because I don't have to bother to line anything up afterwards. I just use that particular page in Shortcut Slot, export the FCM as I would normally, and hey presto, it's going to do the job. So from that point of view, yes it is. I do wish that Brother would allow Shortcut Slot to control the machines because it would have saved me the aggravation. And I do wish that if Brother want people to do print and cut from their machines, that they provided the means to print from the program and cut from the program without having to buy extras, because I think that is a basic of Cutter software. Anyway, my rant over. I will see you again soon. Take care now.